Hello and welcome to the Sales Show. I'm Marie Kirkpatrick, your sales and business strategist. I'm a mum, a wife, and a multi-business owner myself. With over 15 years experience in sales and business, I have worked with startups all the way through to multi-million dollar companies. I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I love helping service-based businesses make an income as well as an impact. Let's jump into talking about all things sales and business. So welcome back to the Sales Show. I'm really excited about today's special guest, beautiful Hayley Osborne, who I have had the privilege of being in her business and helping her out from a sales perspective. But let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a serial entrepreneur, a marketing consultant, and a small business growth strategist. She is driven by a passion to empower Australian small businesses by demystifying and simplifying marketing. And I freaking love that because I know in the business world, it can get a little bit overwhelming and feeling like you've got to do all the things. So Hayley's amazing at that sort of stuff. She recognizes that small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and she's really dedicated to ensuring owners harness the power of effective marketing strategies to propel their business forward. So I would love to welcome you to the Sales Show today, Hayley. How are you?
Hello. What an intro. I'm well.
I know.
It's always so awkward when you have to listen to yourself, like listen to your own intro when someone else reads it. It's like, I
Yes.
don't know what it is. Just, oh,
Yeah, I get it.
harming me.
I love it. I'm excited about our chat today because I know you and I we've known each other for a little while and we've worked together as well. And we always talk about the difference between sales and marketing.
Yeah.
And for me, it always feels like the chicken or the egg. What comes first? Do we need to do the marketing first or do we need to do the sales side of it first? And I think before you and I started working together, what would you have said? Would you have said more marketing or sales first?
100% marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since working together, has that changed anything for you?
Well, so I think I'm on the fence though. I think as soon as we started working together, I was like, well, I can't do one without the other. And I feel like sales comes first. But then I'm like, now of the impression, like, you have to be really great at selling inside your business. Otherwise, how are you going to feed yourself? Right? That is the main thing. But if you're really good at selling and you don't have the infrastructure around to support that, which is the marketing and all of the like alignment pieces and positioning and everything, it's almost like a waste and an absolute waste of talent because you can bring all these people in, but you have no way to nurture them and love them and continue to market to them. And
Yep.
so I think you need to be good at both. And
Agreed.
as much as people are like probably listening and they're like, oh, why? Well, that's just business. And you know what? You've got to be a jack of all trades. And you started your business for a reason, and that was to help people. And if you want to grow, you've got to learn how to sell it and you've got to learn how to market it.
Yeah.
Two different things, both
Yeah.
really important.
So if you had to define what marketing is for business owners, small business, big business, or business in general, what would you say it was?
Yep. I think, well, that's massive, but I think that it's all around having like your digital assets, especially these days, your positioning and your footprint in complete alignment. It's having your messaging nailed so that people understand when they come into your world exactly what you do and how you can help them. They don't care about you. You need to be really good at translating, which I call your transformation message, exactly how you help people because they care about themselves. So I think that getting everything in complete alignment, that is really good marketing. Being able to storytell your way to selling is really good marketing. And having, I guess, like, you know, great brand awareness and great brand positioning and understanding who you are, that all consists inside your marketing. And I think there's a fine line too where we dip into brand, and that also is important because that's an element of marketing, your aesthetic, your tone, how you show up, the look and feel, right? People want to visit you on your socials and then your website and then see you in person and they want you to be the same person.
Yeah.
And that encompasses all of your marketing. I think that answers your question.
It does, absolutely. And I know you and I had chats originally when we met
that the way that I came across from a marketing perspective versus in real life was very different. And you're so like corporate-y and all of that. And I was like, yeah, because it was where I'd come from, right? Like everything had to be polished, everything had to be perfect, everything had to be like on. But then in real life, like there was joking and there was laughs and there was, all the banter and all that sort of stuff that came into it. And you're like, why don't you show that? And I was like, oh, wow. And so I feel like after us getting to know each other a lot more and all the business chats and catch ups we've had, that it's something that I've really been aware of to make sure that what I am putting out on social media or what I am putting out to the world is very on brand to me and who I am. So that when people meet me in real life, same.
Yeah. And I think that goes across whether you're listening and you have a personal brand or a named brand. You've got to actually come up with what that looks like for you. And people start to see a disconnect or the truth eventually unfold if you're not being true to yourself or what you want what the brand values are. And you see businesses fall apart because of that, or you see things happen like eventually, if you hadn't have kind of come to the party from a personality perspective, your brand would have been so disconnected that like you just couldn't relate to it anymore because you're on this beautiful journey and you're an amazing human. And the like front of the business, so the part where 99% of people are going to Google you before they pick up the phone to talk to you, wasn't in alignment. And like, that's crazy because you're just so awesome. Why wouldn't you?
Mate, you're so lovely. I think it was also about giving myself permission to be me,
That's huge.
because people buy me for me with that sense of caring and that, like, I actually really am one of the biggest cheerleaders for my clients because I want them to succeed. I want to see their business grow and all of that. But it was, giving myself permission to be that and be exactly who I am at the same time.
Yeah.
It gives you that permission until someone brings it to your face and says, where's your personality in all of this? And I was like, yeah.
And to preface that as well, like you and I are very similar. We have a family, we have children. They do not appear in our world, in our marketing, because that is not what we do. I am marketing and brand and, strategy consulting. You are sales consulting. And I don't think that I'm not prepared to share any of my personal life, especially my kids. I do have a strategy around what I'm prepared to share and what I'm not in my marketing, which creates that know, like, and trust. They're really important elements to remember, but you don't have to bare your soul. And so that's another thing that I feel like people get really hung up on, that well, I should be sharing everything. And don't get me wrong, like, I bet you're the same. The second if you were to share your kids, it would just do so much for your engagement. And like, all of that stuff, but I'm not prepared to do it and they're not my pawn. So we have figured out other ways through our brains and strategy to show up in a way that's really authentic, really organic, true to our personalities, our skill set, while not sharing our children. And I feel like a lot of people want to work with me because of that, because they know that I have kids, but there's another way to do things when you have a strategy. It's the same as having a sales process, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you have to understand what that looks like for you because you can't be like someone else. And you see so many people sharing their kids online, and it's not even what they do. And don't get me wrong, if you do that, fine, whatever, it's your choice. But
absolutely,
if you're doing it with a strategy, then that is a far better option.
Yeah. I also look at it and especially from a branding and a marketing perspective, that yes, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, but there's no specific order in that. And when I'm in the business world, I'm in the business world. And when I'm in mum world, I'm in mum world.
Yeah.
And I don't always believe that those two need to cross over as such from a branding and sales perspective.
Yeah.
All my clients know I have kids. A lot of my clients have seen kids, heard kids in the background, spoken to me at soccer training, like whatever else is going on. But it's something that I've always kind of been like, well, am I supposed to show my family? Am I supposed to like bear it all? But I think it's amazing that we've spoken about strategy and marketing, specifically the marketing strategy side of it, without having to feel like my whole life is on Instagram and Facebook and social media.
Yeah, because when we talk about marketing, that's the first thing people think about. Oh, I don't want to do that because that will mean I have to share everything on social media. And we talk specifically around social media and marketing because it is, unfortunately, the biggest audience and marketing platform the world has ever seen and the most dynamic, captive audience. So, yeah, we're going to talk about social media. There's obviously other ways to market your business as well that are really powerful, but social media is the most powerful.
Yeah. So if someone was looking at their marketing strategy and thinking, what are the top 3 things I need to nail, or that I need to, like, if I push everything else to the side with everything that's going off in the world and life, it's marketing time. I've allocated it in my diary. I'm going to do some marketing on a Monday morning. What are those 3 things we should be focusing on?
Right. Okay. So, first thing is figuring out whether your marketing foundations are set up. Okay. And if they're not, it's kind of like what you say. You're just going to be putting water in a bucket with holes in it. It's going to be leaking everywhere.
Yeah.
And those foundations are making sure your messaging is right. I use a framework inside my business called MAPS. And thanks to you, you helped me come up with this, which I'm forever grateful for because, you know, it is something that I use in my business every day. I just didn't have parameters around it.
Yeah.
And that stands for establishing your market, audience, problems, and solutions. Okay. So they're your marketing foundations. The next thing, if you're going to sit down and think about your marketing, for an hour on a Monday morning or whatever, you need to make sure that your digital assets, your positioning, and your footprint is in complete alignment, right? The third thing then, once you've got those 2 done, is planning and organizing optimized content to increase sales. So if you don't have the other 2 organized, then don't spend time on your social media because you don't have the infrastructure or won't have the infrastructure to support an influx of clients that are coming in through your outward facing marketing. So they're the fundamental things. And everything should sing the most beautiful song around you in tune with each other. So you're showing up here, it's wonderful. You're showing up there, it's wonderful. You know, I think that initially when you start a business or say you're thinking about doing some outward facing extra media, right? Where you might write an article for something, you might be interviewed by someone, you're reaching out to do podcast interviews. I think that there is no point in you doing any of that top of funnel, that's what it's called, that top of funnel activity where you are doing one thing and you're reaching hundreds, possibly thousands of new people, different audience, if you do not have those foundations set up properly, because you will be completely wasting the opportunity as well as your time, and time is money. So do those foundational things first, get it right, so you're not wasting money and wasting time in the long run.
I know you and I have had many conversations about people putting stuff up on social media because someone's told them that they need to do a post a day or a reel a week or a whatever.
Yeah.
And you and I have constantly spoken about people are putting stuff out there, but is it optimized from a marketing and a sales perspective? And is it actually generating activity within their business, or are they literally sitting down playing on Canva or paying someone else to create stuff that is just not worthwhile? And I think that strategy piece is so important. Tell me, what do you think, or what do you see are the biggest mistakes that people make out there from a marketing perspective and business?
Oh, there's so many. I think, well, the first one is, I think not having like a proper foundation means proper website for people to land. So you can have all of the most amazing hundreds of thousands of followers on socials, whatever, but they're rented space. And so get your own space in order first. Make that amazing because that's your credible source. That's your own PR, I guess, from a marketing perspective. Get that in order first. And I see a lot of people doing it around the other way. Oh, I don't know if I need a website. Oh, I don't want to spend the money. Da, da, da. Well, it's a hobby otherwise if you're not doing that, right? So I think that's a massive mistake, firstly. Secondly, it's like there's so many great businesses out there and so many people are doing great things. Like you may have a website, right? So you've got that bit. But why aren't you showing up on your social media? It's free. Why aren't you showing the world what you have to offer? And if you don't know how, why aren't you educating yourself on how to do it? Don't go buy the handbag. Go spend the money and learn how to show up properly. Because
Yeah.
that's like instant gratification. What about the long run? What about like supporting yourself that way? So learn how to show up strategically, what you need to be doing, how you need to be doing it, and then, use that money to go and buy the handbag.
Yeah,
It just,
that's what I was going to say. Build your business, have the sales and marketing sorted to generate the income, and then go and buy the handbags for as many as you like or whatever other pretty things you would like to enjoy.
yeah, I just see so many people not showing up how they should, and also, or showing up with like a spaghetti at the wall sort of approach. I know we've heard that term so many times, but
Yeah.
it's, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy with your marketing. Put some time in to showcase and show up strategically. It's not hard. It's free. There are paid options, but those of you that are really great at what you do, but you're just not showing up in your marketing, doesn't matter what that is, socials or print media or otherwise, letterbox drops, billboards, you name it, whatever. Like, put some time in. Don't be lazy. You started your business for a reason. And I see all too often people being lazy in their approach. You don't have to post every day, but you should be doing a minimum of three minimum a week.
Yeah.
Why not? You get one life. Show up like you mean it.
Yeah. And it was interesting. So I caught up with some people last night, and I think maybe 90% of the room was in business.
Yeah.
And there were other people, the other 10% weren't. And seeing the different conversations and the different ideas, thought, beliefs, values, all of that come through. And there was this huge theme that came across about life by design and doing it your way. And if you've stepped into the business world, play hard out, like give it a really good crack.
Yeah. Why aren't you playing hard? Like,
Yeah. But I think there's, and I'm sure that people have felt this in the past, right? Especially from a social media and marketing point of view, of like showing up is scary. It means being vulnerable. It means potentially people picking us apart, telling us that, I don't know, I've always been told that I'm too full on, I'm too loud, I'm too this, I'm too that, whatever. What would you say to people that worry about showing up in that space? Or what sort of tips can you give them to, work through that?
well, you cannot wait until you're confident to show up, because that never, ever happens. You become confident by showing up.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Oh my goodness. If you were to look back at the very first pieces of marketing, and you can scroll back and find them on my Instagram, Facebook, like that I did when I started my business, they are woeful, because I was still finding my feet of who I was and how I wanted to position myself. Now, if I was still that same person now, there would be like, we would have to have some chats, because you educate, you upskill, you grow, right? And if you are fearful about showing up, and that is the thing that is blocking you, that is stopping you, learn how to do it. Learn how to do it with a strategy. Educate yourself. Education is one of my highest values, whether it be books like audiobooks, or invest in a course, like I've got Superhero Marketing, which is my signature membership. You've got Her Sales Club, which is your signature membership. And like they're low investment options where you can surround yourself with beautiful communities of business owners, all like trying to achieve the same thing. And you get to learn how to show up. And I feel like when you've got that community as well, you are more motivated to show up. And so I think if you can position yourself in those groups, like our groups, to learn and educate yourself, your confidence will move mountains, and that shyness, or, kind of, I don't know what you would call it, like your kind of holding back, will disappear.
Yeah. I still remember looking at my first business and seeing some of the light. I hated showing up in that business, but seeing some of the lives, and good old Facebook's like memories from however many years ago, and you're like, oh my God, this is horrendous. But I think it's also getting into that mindset and saying, oh, well, I'm in the arena. I'm getting my butt kicked. I'm putting in the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
And the people that are focusing on their stuff are too busy to give you grief, because they're doing their stuff anyway.
Totally.
So being clear on who you listen to and who you surround yourself with. I
Yeah.
think.
And I think you can't compare your one to someone else's 20. You and I have been doing this for around the same amount of time. And like we have continuously invested in ourselves over the years to get over those, whether you call them mindset blocks or hurdles or education stumbles, like knowledge is power, upskill yourself. A really funny example of that is last week I was in Darling Harbour and I stopped to have some lunch. I'd just finished like filming a little bit and I put my phone on record in the middle of Darling Harbour and I had a bright red dress on and there was people everywhere. It was beautiful and sunny. And looking back, people were passing by. They weren't even looking what I was doing. I was like a beacon. I looked like a beacon. I was full made up, makeup and everything, bright red dress. Do you think anyone cared that I was doing what I was doing? No, people care about themselves.
Yeah.
But I needed to do that for my business because that was important to me. Everyone's going about their day. So just the confidence will come once you show up.
Yeah.
And then you start to care less about in the physical world what people think about you. And then that translates into the digital world because you really don't care because you're showing up as genuinely as yourself. And your vibe attracts your tribe. I know we say that. That's why we kind of were like magnetized to each other, I think.
We're just like, what do we need to do to get stuff done? Like balls to the wall. I love it. Tell me more about superhero marketing. I know you and I have worked on growing that membership and things like that for you. What I loved about working with you around that was your passion behind it. What made you start it in the first place? Because I don't think I've ever asked you that.
So I have been in brand and marketing my whole life. I've been doing it for 16 years. I have a marketing degree. I worked on some of the biggest alcohol brands in the world when I started my career. I've had some huge wins. And then I started my business really organically with clients. I didn't even market myself. It just kind of happened and grew. Quit my day job. And then I was again working with some really big brands on my own. And I had developed all of these tools and templates and tips and tricks and all the things for these brands. And then I also am a mentor for the government and I help out businesses as a part of that. And what I found is small businesses that couldn't afford to work with me one-on-one also needed help and they wanted to upskill themselves. And so that was essentially the birth of the membership where you could still have access to me. And also I had all these things sitting around that I was like, well, I need to help more people. I've got all these things in my head and like procedures and all the things, pretty much templates and whatever, just sitting there when they could be of use to small business owners. And so that's what kind of spurred on the growth of the membership and the birth of that, because I just didn't want to like waste what I had built. And there were people there that needed it. And I do know, and you kind of said that in my bio, that small business owners, especially in Australia, are the backbone of our economy. And so it's my duty with my knowledge to help as many that as possible to, you know, so my kids can grow up in a great place. Yeah. Essentially, that's what I'm good at. And so that was the reason why the membership was started and it's going really well.
Awesome. I love it. I was reading an article the other day that said small business is classified as anyone that's turning over under 20 million a year.
Right.
I think when people say small business, and I've like you and I have worked with startups all the way through to multi-million-dollar businesses, right? In our consulting stuff. And it's always been like when someone says small business, they think solo, maybe turning over 100K, 200K a year type thing. But what I found, it doesn't matter which business you go into, those foundations and stuff are still the same.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah. And people think, oh, I'll do that when I get bigger, or I'll do that when I'm like, no, let's sort out your foundations now. And same with in her sales club, all different levels, all different industries, but the foundations are still the same for people to grow from a sales perspective. So,
yeah. You don't know what you don't know, regardless of the size of your business.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Awesome. And to wrap up, tell me what would be your best 3 marketing strategies?
Oh boy, that's fun. Okay. So the first one if you have all your foundations set up,
Right.
okay,
Disclaimer. Sort out your
disclaimer,
foundations first.
I would be focusing on top of funnel activities as a strategy.
Mhm.
Okay. So that means pitching yourself to podcasts, pitching yourself to media, going to networking events, standing up in front of a room and talking, places where you are not serving your audience, but you are serving other people's audiences. You are doing it once and you are hitting many. That is probably one of the quickest ways to grow at the moment that you possibly can, is to do the top of funnel activities. And then when those people come in and they love you because they've listened to you, they come in through your funnel. So that is number one. Number two, making sure that your foundations are set up, definitely. And then number three, I think have a really good content strategy. So you can't bypass social media. Whether you love it or hate it, learn to love it and learn to use it to your advantage. You're either on social media or you're using social media. You're on social media means that you are consuming before you're creating. And if you are using social media, it means that you are creating before you are consuming. So don't doom scroll. The second that you catch yourself on the couch or whatever, and if you haven't posted to your social media that day, and then you're like, oh, I've got to post, it's a panic situation. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Hayley says to
Post 3 times a week. I've got to post 3 times a week.
create before you consume. Don't do anything. Put your phone down and have a bit of a look at your strategy, because that will help you show up so easily. Whether, you need to have your content pillars in place to have a really good strategy. So they're kind of I know that was a bit mixed up, but I just think you're crazy not to be utilizing. There's 2.3 billion monthly active users on Instagram alone.
Wow.
Imagine if you could take 1% of that pool. It's 230,000 people. Now, if they came knocking on my door and all wanted to work with me one-on-one, even inside the membership, don't get me wrong, I could probably support it in the membership.
We'd be welcoming them in and then we'd figure out how to help them.
Yeah. But think about, say if you're listening and you have a product-based business and 230,000 orders came through overnight and you couldn't fill it. They're the numbers that we're talking about. That's 1% of that audience. And that's just one platform. So it's extract the digit, get yourself a strategy, have a sales process, have your marketing foundation set up, and balls to the wall.
Yeah. And just go for it. I also love the analogy, and I use it a lot in my business, between when you were talking about the social media is very much a rented space. It's the difference between being the landlord and the tenant.
Oh, I love
when
that.
you're on social media, all your Facebook pages, Instagram pages, LinkedIn, all of that, you are literally the tenant. They can be taken away at any time. Someone can kick you out, someone can hack your account, but making sure that you've got that process that drives people from your marketing platforms into an asset that you own, such as your database, your websites, podcasts, things like that, I think is cool too.
Yeah.
I know when you and I have spoken in the past, we have put together strategies, and you have been amazing at putting together in a really clear way, so that when I am sitting on the couch surrounded by small humans, that I can open it and go, right, what's the plan for today? Whether that's in the morning or 7, 8 o'clock at night. What are your suggestions around making it as easy and as streamlined for the busy, in inverted comma, business owners? Because I think we all think we're, but what's that streamlined ease look like for you?
I think that I used to say you should have a month planned in advance, where I don't think logically that works. I think if you can sort out a week's worth of social media on a Sunday, for example, of what you're going to have running that week, it's going to save you so much angst and time throughout the week to focus on the things that you love, and be it cooking or spending time with your family at the time that you need to post. But the strategy that I use at the moment is having a look at what that strategy looks like, what I'm focusing on that month. And then I look in my phone, because everything is content, right? So I've got a content folder in my phone, and I revert to that. I build out what I need to, whether it be in my phone or on Canva or whatever that looks like, because just as a byline, when you're feeling inspired isn't necessarily when you have time. When you have time, you're not necessarily inspired. So you need to bank stuff in your notes and in albums on your phone, video, photos, whatever that looks like. And so on a Sunday, you sit down, you put it all together, using your strategy and you set out 3 posts for the week, it is not hard to do 3.
Yeah.
If you find the time, anything more throughout the week, anything that happens that you think, oh, that's a really good idea, do that too. Like, don't be rigid in your approach, because then you'll end up doing nothing. No one's looking at your Instagram grid anymore. They don't care. People care about themselves. They're finding you in their own feed. So your grid doesn't have to be perfect at all. You need to be in their feed, showing up with your thought leadership and zone of genius. And I think, don't bite off more than you can chew. Just show up with a strategy in a really organic way. When you're inspired, bank content. And when you've got time, look at that inspiration and create stuff.
And how do you feel like the marriage between marketing and sales and social media all fit in together?
Well, I think if you don't have a sales process, how are you going to support people that come in? So I know that we went through a couple of clever little things to make that happen in terms of frameworks and fundamentals, but the marriage comes together through your words, through your creative, through the pillars that you have set up on your website to direct people in and then funnel them through to your business. Does that kind of answer the question? How do they fit together? Kind of.
I think you and I had a quote going on at one stage that was like, yeah, but did you sell it? Like, did you actually sell what it is that you're doing? Or are you just putting stuff out there from a marketing in inverted commas perspective?
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is I see marketing as bringing people into your business and sales as converting them.
Correct.
And so, yeah, I love to see people work those two together across social media rather than just constantly putting stuff out there for the sake of it.
And I think the combination needs to exist in the most layman terms as possible. The more overcomplicated your messaging is inside your business from a sales and marketing perspective, the least likely people are to understand who you are and what you do.
Yeah. I had someone on a call the other day say, can you tell me what the best buzzwords are to use to increase my sales? And I was like, there are no buzzwords. Like,
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, that's literally what I said. I was like, oh, I don't really believe in buzzwords. And she was like, oh, but isn't there like a series of no, get on the floor with your clients, be really clear on what it is that you do, how you can help them, how you serve them, stuff like that as well. So yeah, I think you and I are definitely both on the same page with that.
Yeah, I think as well, like, captions are everything when you are captioning a piece of marketing content to go out there, right? Your storytelling is everything. And so when I see people say 2 words with hashtags, I'm just like, wasted opportunity. You may have well not even bothered.
Yeah.
Because it starts off with a story and then you sell it at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's getting that beautiful blend and transition in between marketing, story, and selling at the bottom.
Love it. So sexy.
So sexy.
So sales and marketing are sexy. I think sales is sexier, but I'm biased.
Right. It's always like a great debate between us, but I think and I know that you need both to have a really good, successful business that is scalable, because we are not playing small, you and I. We are like very similar and we are here to change the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, Hayley. It has been absolutely brilliant. And if people want to find you, where else can we find you? Social media?
Yes.
Yep.
So I am everywhere as Hayley Osborne, HayleyOsborne.com, Hayley with a K in the middle, HayleyK Osborne at Instagram, Facebook. If you Google me, I come up. And if you want to be in my world, I do have a little free download, which is the 10 posts your business needs to have more people walk through the door. And you can find that on my website. And I think that that's quite a practical way to get started.
Perfect. And we'll pop all of that in the show notes anyway.
Cool, man.
All right, lovely lady. Have an amazing day and we'll chat to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Sales Show. Please share it on social media for your friends to see and make sure you tag me at Marie Kirkpatrick so I can personally say thank you. If you would like to show me some love, leave me a review on Apple Podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Email me at podcast@mariekirkpatrick.com. And if you would like to work with me further or see any of the free resources mentioned on today's show, they can be found at mariekirkpatrick.com. I truly hope this podcast provides useful information and so much value to you so that you can build a business with impact and income.